It's Sunday evening 1955, the table set, the radio hums in the background, and from the kitchen drifts that unmistakable smell. Meatloaf. But not just any meatloaf, the kind that brings the family running. Tender, juicy, with just enough tangy glaze to make you reach for seconds before your plate's even empty. Today, we're making a true classic, balanced, flavorful, and packed with nostalgic charm. Hello my friends and fellow Apollonians, welcome back to Apaulo's Diner. I'm your host Apollo Jupiter, and yes, I look a little different today, with a subtle nod to the 1930s, but don't worry, we're still going to have the same good time together as always. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic comfort foods of the 1950s, meatloaf. Whether you remember it from Grandma's kitchen or a chrome-plated diner booth, this version brings all that savory, home-cooked warmth right back to your plate. Let's get started! We start where every good meatloaf begins, with the base that holds it all together. The base is the part that gives our meatloaf that soft, comforting bite: breadcrumbs and milk. In a large bowl, we add half a cup, or about 70 grams, of fine breadcrumbs and pour over half a cup, or 120 milliliters, of milk. Now we let that sit for about 5 minutes, just enough time for the crumbs to soak it all up and puff up like little pillows. Once they're nice and soft, we crack in 1 egg, beat it lightly, and give the whole thing a mix with a fork to break everything up. We're basically making a soft binder here, like a little cushion that'll hold the rest together and get ready for the main act. Now we add the rest of the loaf gang. 500 grams, or about 1.1 pounds of ground meat, a mix of beef and pork for the perfect flavor balance, half a medium onion, finely chopped, 1.5 tablespoons, or around 20 milliliters of ketchup. I'm going with my homemade one, which we made together a few episodes ago, but any good classic ketchup works fine. 1 teaspoon of Worcester sauce, or Maggi, or soy sauce if that's what's in the cupboard. 1 teaspoon of Dijon or mild yellow mustard, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. That's optional, but we're definitely using it for that real vintage touch. And just a pinch of dried thyme or marjoram. Or even both if you're feeling adventurous, whichever feels more vintage in your spice rack. And now, the part that separates a good meatloaf from a kitchen doorstop. We mix it gently by hand, not like kneading bread, more like tucking everything in with a cozy little hug. It should just come together, soft, sticky, and full of promise. Once everything's nicely mixed, it's time to shape our star. We gently form the mixture into a loaf, about 15 to 18 centimeters long, or roughly 6 to 7 inches. And place it into a lightly greased baking dish. No loaf pan here. We want those glazed edges all around. After all, this is the main event. Now for the glaze, the glossy, tangy topping that makes a meatloaf feel dressed for its grand entrance. In a small bowl, we stir together 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters of ketchup, 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar, or go up to 2 teaspoons if you've got a sweet tooth, and half a teaspoon of mustard. I also like to add a final quarter teaspoon of vinegar for a bit more brightness and a more even spread. But that's optional and totally up to you. Now we give it all a good stir and spread half of the glaze over the top of the loaf. Careful not to overdo it. We want a coating, not a ketchup slip and slide. We'll save the rest for later. Halfway through the bake it gets a second coat for that rich caramelized finish. Alright loaf, you've been shaped, dressed and glazed, now it's time to rise to the occasion. Literally. Now that our loaf is ready for the spotlight, we bake it uncovered in our preheated oven at 175 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 to 50 minutes. In it goes on its little sunbed trip, getting a nice tan just like a fine dame on a summer holiday. Halfway through, so around 20 to 25 minutes, we brush on the rest of that glaze. Enough to give it that rich, glossy finish that says, yes, I'm the main course. Make sure to spread it as evenly as possible to avoid large bumps on the loaf. Back in it goes. Now once our timer rings and the top is beautifully reddish brown and the edges are sizzling just a little, we give it a quick check with our meat thermometer. If it's around 70 degrees Celsius or about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, it doesn't need to be super precise, we take it out. If you don't have a thermometer, you're fine as well. As long as you baked it long enough and it looks like it should, you're usually good to go. And now we wait. As tempting as it is, we let it rest for 10 minutes, no shortcuts. This gives all those juices time to settle back in, so when we slice, we get perfect pieces instead of a crumbling mess. Think of it like a mid-century lounge singer needs a moment backstage before the encore. So pour a drink, fluff the mashed potatoes, and straighten your tie, because when this meatloaf hits the plate, it's going to steal the show. Time to slice and serve. If we've done it right, the loaf holds together beautifully. Tender, juicy, and with that glossy glaze stealing the spotlight. Haha, this loaf's not just holding together, it's holding court. For the full 1950s experience, pair it with mashed potatoes, buttered peas, and maybe a few glazed carrots on the side. Or go classic diner style, a slice of meatloaf, a dollop of potato salad, and you're golden. Simple, satisfying, and ready to bring a little vintage comfort to the table. And the best part, it's even better cold the next day, straight from the fridge, standing in your pajamas. Don't ask how I know. Heaven. And there you have it, a true 1950s style meatloaf straight from the golden age of comfort food. Simple, savory, and once tasted, it just feels like home. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic recipes, vintage kitchen magic, and a few tasty surprises coming your way. Also check out this lovely video right here. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for spending time with me here today, my dear friends and fellow Apolonians. I hope this dish brings a little warmth and flavor to your table. And until next time, wishing you joy and plenty of togetherness this Thanksgiving season. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.